Hello, y'all. I have a video uploading. It'll probably be uploaded by the time that I'm done recording this video. And I was like, this little deck was summoned to me. My mother gave this to me a little while ago. And it is this little fortune teller deck. And yesterday when I did the reading, I thought this was my mom's first deck. And I called her, and which I'm actually kind of I was a little bit apprehensive about even telling her about this. But I called her and I told her about sort of the energy of these cards. These cards, first of all, the energy is not bad, but they kind of summon in certain energies that are like external to the reading. And I told her about this, and she was like, those are not my cards. And so when I said these were old, these are old, as in like these are probably from the 1930s or 40s. These are little fortune teller cards. So who they belong to actually was my aunt, my grandfather's half sister. And my grandfather was actually one of the youngest in his family. So he had siblings that were quite a bit older than him. So these could even be older than the 30s. It's a pretty old deck. And my mother was telling me that what she used to, like if they went and they were drinking tea together, she used to read everybody's tea leaves. And so she was into sort of the psychic realm and tapping into spirit and all that years ago. Well, like, I mean, 100 years ago, honestly. And I believe that she passed away in the 90s. And I think she was definitely an old woman in the 90s. So and her name was France. So yesterday I was sitting down to do a reading, and I had initially wanted to do a reading from your ancestors, which is really interesting. And I would, you'll have to go just watch the other video because it's like the truth video. There's a collective that is resonating with me, that I think we have a similar life path. Some things that I went through within a relationship in my past. I think there are a collective of people who have tapped into my readings, who are currently going through that, or who have been through that, and it's quite possible that many more of us have been through it, but we may be at different stages. And yesterday I was sort of called to communicate with that group through the truth teller video, or the truth video that I am currently it'll be posted by the time this is posted, so the video before this one. And I ended up pulling back out the deck, the supernatural deck, which if you have been here for a little while, then you know that I had shelved that deck because I didn't like the vibe of it. But I was essentially called to put my big girl panties on and know that there's a collective that might need a little bit of tough love. And not even tough love, I think actually just somebody who can be compassionate for the tougher things in life. And so there is a collective like that that's going to be, I don't know how long it's going to be while they're sort of tapped in. But some of the dynamics of my pick a card readings have shifted. There's a very similar collective for group 1 that seems to be remaining consistent. And then we have 2 new collectives with 2 and 3 where the readings are just a little bit different. And yeah, so I'm sure you can guess already which sort of collective on the board is the one kind of dealing with a specific type of person. I feel like I wasn't going to bring out the middle card because I know what that card means for me, and I really didn't want that to be the forefront of the card selection. But I went to put it back and I heard that song by Eminem that was like Venom. Dun, 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 dun. So I was like, all right, fine. So I guess we're gonna just bring it out. So I do want to give a little bit of disclaimer to the Group 2 collective in particular, because that I don't think that Group 2's readings are going to be, oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness. I'm allergic to bullshit. Sorry. Okay, goodness. Okay. Because I do think the other two collectives are quite a bit different actually than the middle collective. So, yeah. Did I mention what? Oh, y'all, I get side quested with my ADHD and I just trail into a new topic and I don't even know if I concluded a past topic. But so going back to this deck of cards, I don't know if I finished that out. I just wanted to provide the details on this deck because I was actually wrong in the last video and I had said that it was I had said that deck was my mom's first tarot deck, which is just what I assumed, you know, because she is the one who gave it to me. And then she said, no, that that they were cleaning out my aunt's apartment and these decks were there. And then she said that she used to go and, excuse me, one second. Apparently I wasn't ready. She used to go and yeah, read tea leaves and stuff for her siblings. And I was like, wow, that's cool, because it's interesting to see how that works down the bloodline. I had an aunt also. I had another aunt on my grandfather's side as well, who was an artist. And just like a little backstory about me, I started drawing when I was probably like 6, I think, when I started drawing. Also, when I started kind of writing as well, I was really young when I started writing. Obviously, I was like having people write my stories for me when I was little, but I had been an artist for several years, and then we visited her, I think in a nursing home or in her apartment complex or something one time, and she saw my artwork and she was like, wow, you have like you have a skill set here. And so I used to like draw people and stuff, and I can still draw actually really, really well today, but it's not something that I don't know, I just don't really tap into it much. I want to get back into painting. I think that would be fun, but it's sort of, with my ADHD, it's very easy to become a jack of all trades, master of none, where it's almost like we have too many things to do. And right now I'm already working in 2 spaces outside of this, and then also doing this. And then I am also a mother, and I have 3 kids, actually. I have 2 teenagers and 1 grade schooler. So, and I have very active children as well. My children are involved in everything under the sun, sports, music. They're really active kids. So I don't really tap into too many things. And plus I draw anyway. Right now I'm drawing in one of the sort of like graphics work that I'm doing for someone. So I guess I get my fill on drawing, but it's interesting anyway. Wow, we just really side quested that, didn't we? It's interesting that I have these aunts who, especially on my grandfather's bloodline in particular, that were artists and psychics and had sort of, it's just interesting to see how that works ancestrally, and it opened up my mind yesterday a little bit to who all might be guiding me in these readings, especially knowing that I had an aunt within my bloodline who is doing tea leaves for many years. So anyway, shout out to France. Okay. And that could be a double entendre. My aunt and the country. So, all right. Let's go ahead and get into how does your person feel about you. We're going to do what are their how are they feeling towards this connection that's in the current moment. So whenever you're tapping into this, this is how they are. This is how they feel. A little bit of a disclaimer before we get into the readings. I don't have a sugarcoating system. I wasn't built with one. But I do have a cheerleader filter. I'm really good at encouraging people through tough situations. So even if I lay down some truth, which, well, I will, but even if some truth comes out in these readings, I'll try to be a supporter and an encourager throughout the process. I really don't feel like, I don't know yet, honestly, but I think that group 1 and group 2 might not need this as much. There's a little bit of tenacity coming through already in group 1, but I think this is a different kind of collective than group 2. So anyway, it's just a forewarning that I am very honest and a very honest reader, and my guides don't like to have, there isn't a whole lot of fluff. So it's just how the cards are presented is how they are read, and we can do it a certain way, but sometimes things need to be said a certain way in order for the message to be heard. Okay, all right, here's group 1, group 2, and group 3. Let me get a drink of my electrolyte water. Group 1. Good morning. Good afternoon, good evening, good night. Will I get in trouble for using phrases that don't belong to me? Because that's like the Truman Show. I don't know. I don't know if I'll get in trouble for that. Anyway, hello, whatever time of day it is for you. Thank you so much for tapping into this reading. So what we're going to do today is look at your person's thoughts in this moment. If you're new here, we provide messages with raw authenticity. How the messages come across is how they are delivered, and my guides are a no fluff zone. They don't really coddle much. They're very honest, but it's also very fair. They're really more concerned about facts and the legitimacy of feelings. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, let's continue. All right. Your person is determined. We're just going to start there. When I just said that, so let's start there. It reminded me of that Rihanna quote where they were like, I don't have a man, so let's start there. Something like that. Or she goes, I don't need a man, so let's start there. I don't know it just reminded me of that. I don't know if it has anything to do with this reading. Okay, so let's tap into group 1's person, please. What is their energy? Yeah, it is definitely determination. Now, the interesting thing, though, group 1, is that this determination might be more about well, it's interesting because I was going to say self, but I was sort of corrected internally that this determination has a lot to do with this connection, actually. Or this transformation that they're going through was sort of catapulted within this connection. There's something that this person is really working on. All right. And they're sort of building momentum in this, but it's a process. It might be actually going through, I was going to say a slow process, but I was seeing someone like kind of running. So it might be that they're kind they may be going through a bit of awakening and having sort of being hit with like excessive information, actually. All right, let's go ahead and get into your person. That way we can make sure that this is the right group for you. Who is group one's person? Here we go with the cosmic egg. Always wanting to come out. When cosmic egg is coming out in reverse today, which is really interesting because the group one collective, your person has been consistently having this egg in the upright. And so there's something about, I think there might have been, not necessarily an ego death, but something similar to that within this person very recently, where they're sort of the knowledge that they had and that they were accumulating about the world around them, something has shifted that perspective and that awareness. And so now they're into this space of almost kind of revisiting things that they had initially thought about either this connection or how it's more so about how they operate within connections, is sort of the vibe a little bit more. And I think the interesting thing about this is even though the cosmic egg is in the reverse, there's been some sort of upgrades, at least within the ego, as a result of, or they're in this process of sort of upgrading in the ego and moving into a little bit more tenacity, moving into a little bit more like sort of being in this space of really building their own confidence, I would say, where they're sort of earning their stripes a bit with that tiger card, right? So in this moment, your person is building up the courage, is sort of the vibe here, is what's going on with this person, building into this sort of it's really interesting because there's a bit of a duality. I was going to say go-getter, but then I realized that the buffalo and the tiger move at a much different pace. And so it is sort of about balancing out sort of this need to kind of not even rush into things, because I don't think that this is the type of person who rushes into things. I think it's more a shift in how they are. They maybe have always moved at sort of a slow pace, and okay, let me just back up really quick, because I know there's some people who are like, well, you just said that they were rapidly doing this. Yeah, they're rapidly receiving information regarding how they operate, okay? But as far as how they move as a person, I would say that it's somebody that you probably had to have had a bit of patience with. So anyway, going back is that they've always been sort of somebody who's kind of moved at this slow pace. But before, when they were moving at this slow pace, they were doing it kind of in a space of, I wouldn't even say, oh my gosh, it's like almost like fear, okay? So it's a defense mechanism, thank you. So they moved in this space that was sort of being on the defenses, where they could have been perhaps moving in survival mode, or they were a flight response or something like that. And when they were running, they weren't learning. They were just going to run, and then they were going to seek in new spaces, so sort of distract themselves and not really assess why it is that they're operating in that way. This connection, however, for some reason, something within this connection has sort of catapulted that awareness for them, and they've become keenly aware of their behaviors, which is a really amazing feat if this is a masculine energy, because masculine energies tend to be relatively immovable without a good reason not to be. So a good reason not to be would be that this connection was very important to them, or it meant something to them, and they were willing then to work on themselves in order to move forward, and be sort of, you know, not be in this space of fearing. Essentially, these seem like a little bit like abandonment wounds in a bit. But they are sort of building into this grace of they don't want to be in a position in which they are sort of a pushover. Okay, they don't want to be in a position where they are giving themselves freely without freely. I just kind of fumbled over that word, freely, without security. But so how this looked at for them in the past was the way that they could feel a sense of security was really just giving the entire emotional relationship over to the other energy, and then they felt safe because that person would sort of chase them and bring in all the emotional fulfillment and hold their hand out and be just far more communicative in the emotional realm. And I think one thing that they have recognized, or are recognizing, I would say have recognized honestly, is that this was an imbalance within self. And there was also this sort of hidden aspect of them that was really predatorial and kind of controlling, honestly, a little bit possessive, which some of those things are, they actually work really well in the world around you if they are used in the appropriate ways and they are healthy ways. I don't personally think that I feel like there is a small, like, healthy level of not necessarily possession, but obsessive. You know, I think that there is some level of healthy within that, where somebody is loyal enough where they're I feel like there's a way to say I'm obsessed with this in a good way, right? You know what I mean? Because there's energy that we're putting into it. There's a little bit there's less depravity when you're looking at it like, I'm so obsessed with this, I can't, like, you know what I mean? Like, addiction is a little bit of a different realm. There, it just matters the intention that you put into it. And so I think there was a time in the past with this person where they did have this, like, this sort of this little beast, I guess, this little beast within them that they kind of kept in a cave, and it was very internalized. So there was the internal part of them that was this sort of that had this tenacity, was, it was sort of like it was kept in wraps. What is, my brain right now is just not working. Work with me, not against me, please. It was kept under wraps. Thank you. Okay. Sorry. And so they kept this kind of part of them hidden. Now, the interesting thing about the cosmic egg is that the cosmic egg in the upright is sort of this all-knowing, it's sort of this, it's an end of a transition in which we learned a lot of things. So this could even be a new beginning for them, in which they're kind of having to start over again, looking at themselves with a new lens and recognizing the parts of themselves that they do need to shift in order to receive healthy connections in a way that is going to be that is going to feel healthy. And I also want to say too, group one, that this could be a flipped dynamic as well. One element that I'm being kind of called to mention is that this also works within the chaser dynamic. And so that panther in the reverse could have been somebody who used to be very tenacious too, and just chase and chase and chase and chase and chase. And so this is sort of a transfer. This is a very dual transformation. One thing that's coming through is that this collective could have really been into that anxious avoidant attachment style and sort of the runner chaser dynamic, and that this is something that it's sort of, if you are listening to this and you're like, I don't know if this is me or this is them, there's a hit coming in here that this is a mirror and there are mirroring things. And I had this in group 1 yesterday that acknowledged that when you work on yourself, they'll work on yourself. And so just start, and I always feel like when it comes to connections that you really had a certain feeling for, or you care a lot about, if I find myself in a position with a connection that is literally catapulting an astronomical amount of change in my life, I know that that connection is very, very important. So I today treat it with unconditional love. And that would be something for you to get into if you have sort of this fight and flight response system, or you have been moving in survival for an extended period of time, and this is y'all stepping out of survival. Extending the love to one another is the best thing that you can do in this moment while going through this transformation. Is just continue to look at it in a loving way. Remember that what you give is what you receive. Do you want to receive more to be anxious about, or do you want to receive something to feel grateful for? And we tend to feel grateful for love and compassion and uplifting things that are bringing in abundance into our life. So making sure that when you put energy into this particular connection, that you are putting in the right energy that you wish to receive out of it is vital. Send them love and figure out why you are feeling any sense of animosity, bitterness, resentment, any kind of thing like that. If this is a person that is changing to this extent as a result of this connection, there is an awareness that it's important. And we don't make these changes unless we really care about somebody, okay? And I think this person cares a lot more about you than perhaps has been presented to you. Obviously, because you're here and you're on a reading. So, I know how this works. Not my first rodeo, y'all. If we're here and we're listening to a reading, it's because we're in the space of unknown and uncertainty, and we're looking for either reassurance or information. I know the drill. All right, group 1. So if that sounds like you and your person, then let's go ahead and get into the tarot. I'm going to get a drink really quick of my water. I got electrolyte water so that hopefully I could stay hydrated. And I'm still in a space right now feeling like, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this whole reading. Not this reading, not yours in particular, just the whole video. Without having to go get more water. Probably. I seem to always take a break before I get into my group too. It's like, because I know what's coming. I'm like, Anyway. Okay. What are we going to do? I'm being sort of, the first tarot deck that I looked at was the Standard Rider-Waite, so I guess we're going to go there. Okay. What is group 1's person's thoughts and feelings? Or let's just do feelings, because I feel like their thoughts could be all over the place. You know what I mean? Let's just go into the base of their feelings. How about that? Okay. How is group 1's person feeling about this connection, please? How is group 1's, did I just say group 2? Group 1's person feeling about this connection, please? We realize that I don't have the space to do that. Hold up. Hey. I guess we're going all out. All right, I think that's enough for the top row. Let's do a clarifying cards. Well, really quick, actually, let's just get into the top row on how they're feeling in this moment. You know, it's interesting is because your person has it's almost like the beginning half of this was like they have an awareness of all this, and of sort of what they need to do, but are they doing it? It's okay. So I have the Page of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck, and I would say that yes, they are doing it. But how they're feeling about this connection. Really, group one, I feel like they're sort of it doesn't really feel like they are really that connected in. If I'm going to be just transparent for you, let's just clarify these cards first. Clarify the Empress in return. In return? Why did I say that? The Empress in reverse. Clarify the Five of Swords in reverse. This guy wanted to come out. Clarifying strength. Clarify. Okay. This one first. Clarifying the Wheel of Fortune is the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Is the whole deck in the reverse? What is going on? I looked at the bottom of the deck and the Four of Wands is in the upright. That's interesting. Okay. One more. Clarify this King of Wands. So funny, y'all. Just really quick. I had a reading this morning and the reader was like, the King of Wands is finally out of your reading, and then here the King of Wands is the only upright thing in this reading for y'all. And I've talked about this before, about how I tap into this collective would be the one that I would typically resonate into the most as far as like current emotions. And you have the King of Pentacles in the reverse, as well as the Chariot. And on the bottom of the deck, you have the Queen of Cups, as well as the Nine of Cups in the reverse, and the Knight of Wands. What is going on? They're very passionate about you. That's the one sort of initial hit, is that they do have a lot of passion here. But they're also, they're not giving into this. They're not fighting for this. They're not... They're sort of repeating some sort of cycle of instability. They're not moving forward in this. They're not manifesting this. And honestly, group one, the only oh, why don't do this to me? Okay. The feminine energy here on the top. So this part of the reading. Okay, so the only, who do we have on the board? Yeah, so the only card represented with a feminine in it, well, okay, we have the Empress out of balance, but then we have the other feminine energy in this as the Eight of Swords in the upright, which is really fascinating, because group one, it is almost like the feminine energy in this situation is the one who is sort of it's not even having put this wall up around them. It is what do I want to say here? it is sort of being dismissive of the facts, okay? It is being dismissive of what is truly being offered in this space. Now, do I feel like this person, the energy in the beginning of the reading would indicate that there is some sort of change that is beginning to shift within this person as a result of this connection. But in this moment, it seems like the feminine energy is far more trapped in sort of this dwelling than the masculine energy is. The masculine energy is just the one emotion that they have is that they're very passionate. There's this possibility, I don't know, this just came up, but they may sort of fantasize about certain, departments. But are they doing anything about it? I would say no. I would say that it's a very, they're not fighting for it. They're not moving. There isn't a lot of forward momentum. And yet, I don't know why we're going to clarify that Chariot in a second. But it is sort of being out of balance. And with the Empress in the reverse, the Empress is in the reverse because there was something that was sort of being presented to the Empress that she wasn't willing to see in that moment. So there was this like cup of love that she didn't really I guess it's not gender specific, that the feminine energy didn't really comprehend, wasn't in sort of the comprehension yet of being able to understand that what they were being offered was a small cup of love. And we're sort of narrowed in on these other details and not being able to see that. So really kind of moving blindly within that. But the masculine energy too wasn't presenting any kind of emotional stability, any kind of communication, or truth. The only person necessarily that was surrounded in swords and communication and truth would have been the feminine energy with the Eight of Wands and the upright. So, and what the King of Wands was really focused on was stability and, probably building into their focus was being able to move into a space of feeling stable and probably financially stable. I mean, y'all, 2020, this economy, woofda. Can I get an amen? So it's possible that this was something that was sort of at the forefront of this person's mind. Okay, so let's actually clarify that Chariot, please. I do have the King of Cups on the bottom of the deck that I just want to bring out. What is, clarify the Chariot here, please. Why is the Chariot here from the bottom of the deck? That was sort of the big thing that was on the bottom of the deck. This. And then we have the Sun. That doesn't clarify it. I do have the Queen of Pentacles and the Fool on the bottom of the deck as well that seem relevant to this card. So it's interesting, group one, but it's kind of this message that the feminine energy had a lot more stability within this. I do want to say, group one, just a little hit really quick, is these are feeling like two energies here. So there might be something coming up within decision making for this sort of Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Cups vibe here. So we have the Knight of Wands, somebody kind of coming in passionately. This is very like physically oriented. So this is, without just any fluff or cushioning, this is somebody who wants sex, okay? And then you have this King of Cups here. So someone coming in with this being a little bit more emotionally fulfilling. Another hit that I am receiving as well is that if it is not two energies, it is the transformation of these two energies, sort of moving into from the Knight of Wands into the King of Cups, and that's sort of this process. We are moving out of a space. I think one of the things that is quickly being moved out of, and that might also tie into this Chariot, is moving out of holding ourselves back, or being in a space of a dwelling and overthinking and sort of tunnel visioned into this connection. Actually, it feels like we have moved into a space of, or are moving into a space that is a little bit healthier of a disconnect. So it does feel like, I'm just going to assume that this is a pause or a breakup, or there is not a whole lot of there does not feel as though there's a whole lot of communication going on in this reading. So how they are feeling about it is it's almost as though they feel that they are one element is that they have this work to do, or that there's something, they look at you, and I'm just going to say a little bit, group one, that they kind of put you on a little bit of this pedestal in a way. It just feels that way, where they see you as this like bright light, right? And they do see you as somebody who is able to just sort of embrace the unknown. They see you as somebody who's able to jump, and they do see you as stable and really emotionally fulfilling as well. And then there's also this element of seeing you as somebody who can sort of get inside their own head. I don't know. I don't want to say that word. I don't want to say they see you as insecure, okay? Because that was the first word that came in. But I think it's more so that they might see you differently than you see yourself, is sort of a better way of saying that. I really feel like I kind of read that as what's going on in this connection, group one. So I'm actually going to I realized, like, towards the end there, that I was reading it as what's going on in this connection, rather than how they're feeling about it. So we will go into really quick, like, how do they feel about this? I mean, I know I asked that to begin with, but I kind of read it a little bit differently. Okay. How does the group one's person feel? How about we do, how does group one's person feel about group one? Yikes. How does group one's person feel about group one? Goodness. How does group one's person feel about group one? Okay, these are the bottom of the deck. Interesting. All right, clarify this Ten of Cups in reverse, please. This one wanted to fly out. Clarify the Lovers in reverse. How do they feel about this connection? a 7. Okay. How do they feel about this connection? How do they feel about you? Well, they feel like you turned your back on this. You see how it's like turning your back on the Two of Cups? It's kind of thing. It's really interesting, group one, because I think that the way that they see it is, it might not necessarily be how you legitimately feel about it. But they sort of feel like you see how they feel about you is that they kind of feel in a sense that it wasn't going anywhere, or that you had come down with some harsh communication, or that you communicate really harshly. And that it was, interestingly enough, they don't really see you as offering too much emotion either. It's very interesting. Because, you know, I would have assumed there was this dynamic of you know, you being somebody who kind of provided a whole lot of emotion to this person, but from their perspective, that is not the case. They don't feel as though this was handled in a loving way. They don't feel like it was fair. They don't feel, there is sort of this, they kind of get this feeling that they think that you decided that this wasn't for you, kind of thing, and then just came in, and I don't know, there's a little bit of a harshness to how they view you, that there might have been a bit of harsh truth that was presented to them. They do see you, though, as having passion for them, and they do see you as somebody who they could build with, that could bring in some stability into their life. But in the moment, with these cards here in particular, it's as though they feel like there was an unfairness within this connection. And there's one element here too, is that they feel that they had communicated pretty clearly, but maybe weren't read. So they see you as walking away, but they also see you as sort of working on yourself. So they do have that awareness that you are, that there is sort of this new cycle that you've been in, and that you're kind of bringing in balance and doing the work. So they're aware of this aspect. Even if you're not communicating, they are aware that you are doing some work on yourself. So this is how they feel about you. Let's get into let's do messages from your person. How about? I don't know if we'll bust out this little deck or not. All right. What are some messages from your person? Messages from group one's person. Uh-oh. Not that indecisive energy. You're dealing with a Libra or a Virgo. Who else is really indecisive? I just say that what is the truth is in the reverse. So I think they know the truth. Dun dun dun. That's good. Well, of course my group 1 is right. Okay, so they have, will this ever change? The way I have treated you is wrong. I can't make a decision. What is the truth in reverse? So I think they know the truth. What do you see in me? You were right. Of course. Sorry. So the interesting thing is that even though they do see that there was sort of an unfairness within how they view you in terms of how things were kind of handled in this situation, they have an awareness that that might have had something to do with how they were acting. You know, actions sometimes speak louder than words. And sometimes words respond to actions, you know, kind of works that way. So I don't really like the I can't make a decision card, because if this is something that has to do with being the option between you and somebody else, I automatically, I feel like if someone's in that space, then they're just not sure enough about you, and you're not important enough for them to, because in my opinion, if somebody is really in a space in which they really care about you and you're an important person to them, they will do what it takes to be a part of your life. I know that because I am capable of providing that. So if you are capable of providing that, then there must be somebody out there who is also willing to provide that for you. So I think in this moment, in the beginning part of this, this being in this space of, you know, this sort of transformative space, and being in this space of working on self, and really kind of disconnecting a little bit from this space and disconnecting from dwelling on it, probably is going to be a really good thing for you. And there is this sort of duality within this connection that you do seem to be kind of, in some sense, mirroring within this space, but also in an awareness that in order to kind of get out of these kind of connections, there does need to be work that's done on self. Okay. All right. That is all I have for you, group 1. If this resonated with you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment down below. I love hearing reading your messages. It means so much to me. Any amount of support that you provide me helps my family and helps this channel to get into a space where I can utilize it as an additional form of income, which is what I'm trying to accomplish here, and also trying to be in a space where I can reach more people and deliver a message to a broader audience, and I don't know, find my tribe of people. So if you can help me do that, group 1, I would so appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day. All right. All right, all right, all right. Group 2. Hello, group 2. Venom. Why has Eminem been at the forefront of all my songs recently? It's so weird. Yesterday, too, I said, I misspoke, and I said that I had heard this song Swinger by Eminem, and it is literally Ringer, and I thought, oh my goodness, these people are going to be like, what is wrong with this girl? Anyway. Enough about me. Can you tell I'm apprehensive about this Venom card? Okay, group 2. I'm actually going to start out this read with a disclaimer, because I already know what the Venom card means to me, and the music that is coming in, I'm very certain about this person's energy, and I've dealt with an energy like this, and I'm going to try very, 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 very hard to be kind in this reading. But I want you to know, if this is not something that you want to hear about this person's, well, you know what? I have a feeling that this person's feelings are going to be different than their presentation and how they are operating, because I think they probably do actually from their perspective they might care, but are their actions caring? We'll see. So I just lost, what was the other song that was coming in while I was talking? Oh, there's this song by Pussifer, which is a pretty obscure band. If you know the band Tool, the lead singer of that band is the lead singer of Pussifer. Okay. There's a song that is called, I think it's called, what is it called? I think it's called, I don't know, actually. I'm not gonna say what it's called, but anyway, there's this part, and it goes, you're a snake and a liar, and that is the song that kind of came in with this Venom card. So we're gonna get into your person's feelings. I want to say that your person's energy is held kind of in their gut. This is a weird thing, but and not even that, it's as though they are sort of operating in this on the verge of being physically ill. Is like an excess, is a vibe that comes in with this collective and this sort of tapping into these group twos recently, where the feeling is in the pit of your stomach. There's a lot of, well, first of all, there's something that you need to know about the way that the energetic scale works. There's an energetic vibrational scale, and at the very bottom of this scale is shame and guilt. And so your person is moving in that space quite often. And it is, first of all, just moving, being in their energy realistically is so draining. So I couldn't even imagine. Well, actually, I can imagine, because I have been around an energy like this. I spent a very long time within an energy like this. Not within self, although, I mean, I probably did earlier on, but within a connection with somebody who had this kind of energy. And it is draining. Okay, so let's get into who your person is. Group 2. Okay. Hang on one second, group 2. You know something that is interesting about being clairsentient and being an energy reader is I often wonder how it is that we operate with sort of this absence of awareness on how certain energies make us feel. I think many of us have sort of, let's do a conversation really quick. I think many of us have this part of us sort of closed off. And I remember for quite a while, I had someone like kind of in my close circle that would talk about being able to feel certain energies, okay? And I felt like the way that I saw energy was much different than they did. They sort of felt like, they felt the initial feeling, like what is this person's sort of aura, and how they are, like, what they're operating in is sort of the energetic field in which this person would feel with people. And what I would feel is sort of the truth of how they were feeling beneath the mask of that emotion. Does that make sense? And so I would be someone who kind of, I could see light in the darkest of places. And I would just really feel a sense of compassion for people within that space. And so I had been around energies like this one, okay? And because I was able to see this small little amount of light, I just gave so much patience to somebody like that, and really wasn't accepting of how I was being treated and how their energy really was, rather than seeing what was buried deep beneath the surface, because sometimes that aspect of them could never come to light. That is something that they would have to work on themselves. And I can tell you, group 2, the energy that I was in with that, it's been 2 years since I was around that energy, and the amount of change that has realistically occurred in terms of their ability to authentically communicate and show compassion is still not present. So let's get into it. Who's your person? Everything's showing up in the reverse here. I have not been tired at all. I just woke up, actually. I got a decent amount of sleep, and I woke up and I decided that the first thing I was going to do on my agenda was actually do this reading and then get into work that I need to get done for my business and get set up for an event that I have tomorrow. So I've only been up for a short amount of time, and instantly I am exhausted when this person's energy comes out. I'm so tired is the first thing that comes in, is that they are so they're so internally high strung that it is exhausting for them. There's one element about this person that they don't really assess their own accountability very well. In fact, I would say that they don't hold on to too much accountability at all. It's like they have the shame and the guilt that's in there, but it is okay. So it's more so of this vibe that it isn't like I have remorse for my actions, and I would like to seek forgiveness, and I would like to take the appropriate measures to be in a space that deserves forgiveness. But it is far more being in a space of, it's very self motivated. Honestly, it isn't, I did this and I should probably discontinue doing this if I don't want to experience this. It is, how do I get what I want? And it's feeling it's feeling sick to their stomach, but the sick to their stomach feeling isn't just like, it isn't being in this sort of game and game. Oh, game might have come in for a reason. I don't know. Might have been a slip. This shame and remorse, it's more so of just feeling like they're losing control, is sort of the greater reality, is that they're in this space of just feeling like they don't have control on the situation. They don't have control over you where they maybe once did, and or they're losing that aspect of things. And this is really taking them out of balance in their sort of masked phases. And I'm going to say masked, group 2, because I think that they're beneath the surface. There's a lot that this person would need to work through. And I'm not going to say they're not working on it. I don't, honestly, we'll find out. But in this moment, this is not about that. They are sort of in this, they're really out of balance in almost just across the board. Their heart is closed off. They're burdening themselves within this space of, carrying the weight of it's almost like carrying the weight of their own behaviors, and not even realizing the heaviness that is sort of sitting on them as a result of this absence of accountability. It's pretty heavy, realistically, and it's very closed off. I don't feel connected in any space. There is sort of the root chakra kind of has a certain sensation, I guess, but so what it would provide me with, honestly, is that this person sort of operates in a very they're very disconnected from having any kind of faith or having any sort of feelings that would provide an uplifting experience within their life. They're really disconnected from the light, essentially. This is definitely a darker energy. And I don't want to say darker. I think that's the wrong word. I think it's lower is the correct way to say it. I think we get into our heads when we say lighter and darker. It's just about a sense of heaviness and density, and that feels something that my guides really want expressed for some reason. So backtrack on that. This is a lower energy. Okay. And when we're talking about energy, we're not using it in this sort of superficial space, right? Where it's, I see a lot of times where there are influencers or something that utilize this thing, sort of high bright vibration. And then the way they project onto the world around them is so arrogant that it's like, well, if you really understood the way the energy works, then you wouldn't be in a space of being in a space of sort of this, giving this vibe that you're better than anybody, because that would be actually a lower vibration. So it's kind of how energy works. So I can understand why that word or why that phrasing sounds pretentious, because there are certain energies that utilize these terms that don't necessarily have an awareness or a full comprehension of what the terms mean and why they're using them. They see it as a very sort of, anyway, this is totally off topic, but it's very superficially based, unfortunately, in our world right now, and that's not how the energetic scale works. So the higher vibrations are joy, gratitude, things like that, being really in a space of moving consistently in a space of good intention. Now, I do feel like there are spaces in which you can operate, we're all guilty of operating and having jealousy or having animosity. Those are capable emotions. It depends on how often we're sitting in those emotions realistically. This person, getting back to your person, is sitting so low that they almost make me physically ill. And to be frank, it's just so heavy in the pit of the stomach. And I was fine in group 1's reading, and I haven't felt sick. In fact, I brought in drinking a bunch of electrolytes, and I already feel so drained in this connection that it's like I'm kind of regretting not having gone and sort of refueled before getting into this reading. So there is that. Okay. That's fun. That makes me so Please come back for more readings. It's just like, goodness. Honestly, why do I have to be in this space? It is what it is. I'm here for a purpose, so we're gonna just do it. Okay, what are we going to do for tarot in this reading? I'm kind of feeling called to do the Light Seers deck. I haven't done the Light Seers deck in a little while. All right, Light Seers. Let's do, okay. How is Group 2's person feeling about this connection? How is Group 2's person feeling about this connection? They feel like you've walked away. Let's just start there. Good. The things that escape my mouth sometimes. Okay. Lock it up. Okay. They do feel like how they're feeling about you is they feel like you've walked away from this connection. There's that. They feel as though to them and from their perspective, they see you as sort of having a new beginning or moving into a new cycle of life. They look at this situation as being really conflictive. And I also see that I would imagine that you're not currently communicating with this person. And so they do see that communication is closed off with you. They see that there's no giving into this connection. There isn't anything kind of happening in this moment with this person. And so they have an awareness of that. And that's how they're viewing you, is just having walked away. There's not a whole lot of emotions here, which I think is really kind of interesting. But what I do see is this 8 of Cups. So I think they feel like you've kind of moved into a space of seeking sort of that wish fulfillment, okay? That you're in a space of, this is no longer serving me and I'm moving on and moving into greener pastures kind of vibe. So I think that's how they see you, as having turned your back on this connection. And that there's just no abundance here. What else? I feel like that was just kind of, or that you don't see that this is an abundant connection, I should say. How does Group 2's person view this connection? Okay, we're going to clarify across down here. Clarify the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. Or how do they view you? Clarify the World. They have there is one hit here that they think there's somebody else. Because I definitely don't think that they see themselves as the Emperor. Okay, one more clarifying that 8 of Cups. And you have the Wheel of Fortune. Bottom of the deck, Page of Pentacles in reverse, Judgment, and the Moon. Interesting. Okay. It's interesting, but from their perspective, and I don't know if this is true or not, but they do see you having walked away from this oh my goodness, connection. Wow. And they think it's because there's somebody else. They think that there's somebody who can or it's that they feel like you can do better, and that you can have an emperor, okay? And so they think that you've walked away because there is someone that's able to provide for you more than they can. They do feel like you are looking for that sort of balance of stability, that you are looking for something that is more abundant for you. They do see you as having a moving out of the cycle of being sort of overly emotionally giving within into this connection, and moving out of that. So this kind of, you've released some part of yourself that used to just give and give and give and give to this connection, and are not doing that anymore. And they do see that sort of transition of where you maybe used to operate in this space that was really tumultuous within this connection, or just would kind of fight for it a little bit, fight and fight and fight for it. But they see you having transitioned actually into moving into sort of focusing in on your own abundance and the things that are needed to be fulfilled within your own life. They do see you kind of moving out of this space of really communicating with them, and being more in a space that's observing the connection on sort of zooming out and looking at the connection more, probably more authentically, realistically. So, which is interesting, because they do seem to have, if this is all, they have an awareness, which can show you, group 2, how much they knew when communicating with you. And that should help you to understand why the Venom card is on the board, is because if they have this level of awareness and they are viewing this connection to this extent, then they knew what they were doing. And that's so important for you to understand. Anyway. Yeah, so they do see you kind of moving into this new beginning, and really being in a space that is not providing anything to this connection. And they do feel that they have this sense that it's deserved, almost, that they feel like this is something that you either have worked for or are working for, and that it's sort of, it almost feels like to them that there's some kind of karma coming, and they kind of know it in a way. Like, they know that whatever they did in this connection is wrong, and they have such an awareness on it. I think far more aware than you probably have been able to understand within this connection, because I feel like there have probably been spaces with this person where at times it was like they really can't be this stupid. Well, I think they were playing dumb with you, group 2, because this is somebody who has a pretty keen understanding. The only thing I would say that I don't know if it's accurate or not is them seeing that there must be somebody else. Some masculine energies feel like they're just so grand that if a woman or a masculine or feminine walks away, then it's because there's somebody else. Well, sometimes that somebody else is ourselves, and so they just have to put it as there must be somebody providing more for her, because how could she went from, I don't know why I'm saying he and she, but they went from giving me everything and now they're not giving me anything, so obviously they're giving that to somebody else. Yeah, we're giving it to ourselves. And sorry, you should try it, and so they do see you having kind of been in this space of doing the work. They may have seen you kind of isolate a bit for a period of time and go into doing some really deep work. So they have that awareness as well, that they definitely see a transformation within you. So there's a big part of this group too, that this may just be a confirming moment for you. You might not have any connection in this moment. You may have been in a relationship with somebody like this, or in a connection with somebody like this, and now it is like the moment that is going, is sort of congratulating you for stepping outside of it and choosing yourself in this moment. There's also a hit of that. But if you are here and curious of how this person realistically sees you, they know. they know more than they have presented it in the past, and they're very aware of everything that you are working on and seeing the payoff. The only thing that I feel is a disconnect again is this emperor thing, because I think they feel that the reason you made these transitions is because of somebody else, and it feels far more like this. No, the reason I made these changes was because I was in a situation like this one and I don't want to repeat this. So, all right. Honestly, I feel like that was kind of the message. And I would say that if you're tapping into this and that's sort of where you're at, you probably don't even want to hear about this person. And so why spend any more time than you need to on it? So I'm going to just get you the messages from this person and then close out this reading. Where is... Okay. What are the messages from group 2's person, please? I just heard knock, knock. Who's there? Yeah, well, aren't we all? That's the thing that, I mean, okay, not to be harsh here, but rejection is something that is scary for all people. That is something I had to build into an awareness with my own abandonment issues, was like, none of us like that. None of us enjoy feeling that. So, but the thing is that rather than just try to avoid it and try to control it and and then self-sabotage by trying to avoid being rejected, if we just accepted it, we could move on and figure out why it is that we're so attached and so, clinging on to these spaces that we don't feel validated in. This does feel like a connection that was based on physical intimacy, so they may miss... yeah, I think you were just a little bit too much for them. And they do have a lot of regret in this. Yeah. I think you might have at one point in time had a very... a very physical connection with this person, and it was just based on sex with me, so amazing. Okay, sorry. It was just based on that. And that came up in the other reading that I did earlier, that will be posted at some point today as well, that this connection was very based on sex, because it seems like the group 2 collective is pretty on par to being in the same collective as they were yesterday. And this is kind of building into this awareness that when we base connections on physical attraction or that specific space, that it has a tendency to not go very well. There is this kind of hit that it's interesting, because it seems like what they miss about you kind of the most is feeling that sort of intimacy with you. And it does seem as though they really regret the choices that they made in this connection. So if you don't think that this has catapulted some change in their life, it will. This was definitely a deeper connection. This is probably a situation or a scenario where somebody experienced what it's like to be given love for like the first time. They probably have been in many spaces where they had been rejected just sort of over and over and over and over and over again. And then someone came in and really showed them love, and they just sabotaged it. And it will probably be really hard for them to replace that, because that's going to be, karma delivers. Unfortunately, that's just the way it works. So, yeah, I don't know. Group 2, it seems like you probably have actually moved on from this and are in a space now of choosing self. And I think that's the best space for you to be in. So hopefully now we can talk more about that in the future readings. I don't know why this energy had to pop in, but it's been here for a couple readings. And so I wanted to give it the boot today, and I tried to, and that darn Venom card kept calling to me to bring it back out, because I actually put it back in the deck, because I had said I don't want to do that for group 2. I was, just being a little bit of I didn't want to do it. But obviously it was necessary for us to move past that. So hopefully now we can move past that. So if this resonated with you, group 2, please like and subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment down below. Any amount of support that you provide me helps my family, and I love reading your comments. They're so fun to see the things that you have to say and the ways in which they resonate. It means a lot to me, honestly. It's probably become my favorite part of my day, honestly, is reading the YouTube comments. Is so rewarding. So if you have the time to leave me a comment about how this reading impacted you or how you feel, I would so appreciate it. Thank you so much, group 2. Continue to be in that space of recognizing your value and your worth as a human. Okay, come back for more. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. All right, I need a break. Okay. Group 3. Y'all, I took a little break because group 2's energy is just a little bit draining. And not my collective from group 2, their person. Let me word that better. And so I took a little break and I came back in or I was out in the kitchen. I was like grabbing a snack because I had to like refuel after that. And I was hearing the song Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. It was like coming in. It was like, oh, living on a prayer. I also noticed a group 2 or group 3, excuse me, while I was out there, that it is snowing outside. It was like 70 degrees last week and it is snowing. The Midwest weather is so fun. Very interesting. So I'm hoping that kind of just goes away because I have an event tomorrow. So, all right. What we are going to do is we're going to get into who your person is and then give you a view on how they are viewing this connection and you. So, the song that comes in is coming in right now is Better Together by Jack Johnson. So this person automatically, I do feel that the person that you are here for has a lot of genuine care for you. Now, one more energy for group 3 or 2. That works as well. So in this moment, they are... I do have the horse on the bottom of the deck, as well as the octopus. I'm just going to bring these out because there is this sense of that this person is really balanced, for the most part, is that's how it's coming in. There's some elements about them that I think they maybe keep hidden a little bit, but for the most part, I feel like they are very balanced. It's very interesting because there's sort of this duality within them. That they seem as though they are a lone wolf and yet somebody who could kind of dip their hands in anything if they realistically wanted to, so that the world is kind of their oyster. They're very capable of sort of grabbing into all of the elements of life and really enjoying that and embracing that and being able to flow with that and sort of being okay, honestly, in this independent space, which is something that could be relevant within this person, is that there may have been perhaps not even necessarily commitment issues, but maybe. However, needing to have kind of knowing exactly what they want in order to have that. They are someone who is a bit of they could be somebody who works with their hands. They're showing me somebody like chopping wood, and then they're showing me the 8 of Pentacles where somebody is just like working. So they are somebody who does maybe physical labor is something that they do, but there's also this sort of like sanding going on. There's something about them, something a little bit, I don't want to say off kilter, but it is off the beaten path. They're showing me this image of like all these people sort of trampling in one direction and then this one person sort of going and going in a different way. That's your person's energy. They're very unique and even eclectic in a way where there's something just about them that I don't feel is an everyday experience. So if you are, they kind of stand out, and not even necessarily in a way that's very they do it kind of gracefully. Okay, they're not in a space that's really all that arrogant about it. In fact, I would even argue that they're a bit humble about it. There is some aspect about them that could be even having a little bit of imposter syndrome in a sense, where they could even be more and I don't want to use the word flamboyant, but they could be more they could actually utilize this more to their advantage, and they really don't, in a sense. So they could actually kind of grab a hold of life in a little bit different way if they had a little bit more awareness on how cool they are. They just have this kind of cool energy to them. There is a little bit of a hit. I was going to say in back, but I think that might have been still lingering from group 2 because it kind of disappeared as soon as I was going to say it. So it's interesting. But there could be a little bit, it could be, it's kind of a very faint thing. So there could be a bit that they do, a lot that they kind of deal with, or a lot that I wouldn't even necessarily say burden themselves with, but there's a lot that they have that they kind of carry. And really because it's sort of this vibe that they feel like they can or feel like they should, in a sense. But really somebody who, again, is just very much, this is like a small circle kind of person. If the connections that they are going to build within their life are going to be with purpose. They've really kind of, they're not going to really entertain certain energies that don't have a specific vibe, and they're going to be really, I don't want to say the word calculating, but kind of, in a way, where it's going to be where they are very keenly aware of what they will and will not accept into their life, is sort of the vibe of this person. So, if that sounds like your person, let's get into how they view you and this connection. We're going to do the movie tarot for you. How does the group 3's person view this connection? This guy wanted to come out. How does group 3's person view this connection? One more for the top cards. How does group 3's person? Y'all are just being funny. I'm going to just take out this Hierophant since it kind of came out and everything fell out with it, and if those other cards pop out, okay, good. How are they viewing this connection? They do see this as sort of something that is to celebrate in a way, something that's worth fighting for. It's something that they want to give into, but it's at this sort of beginning stages. So this is probably, this could be a connection that's in the infant stages, or they're in sort of the infant stages of having commitment. There is sort of this, and it is very much around emotion, and then stability is sort of the vibe. Okay, let's get into clarifying cards. Clarify the Page of Coins. This little guy is out here. Oh, that's really funny that it's the Seven of Pentacles was just on the bottom of the deck, and I was gonna say it and then I didn't say it. Oh my gosh. If y'all know anything about, I've talked a little bit about cycles of 7 and how those, there are major cycles that occur within 7. So like 7 years, 7 months, 7 days. Those cycles are, there's something about them. I don't really know what, but they're really imperative. I had, like, I can look back through 7-year cycles and big transformations that occurred in my life. And then I had dealt in connections where I dealt with them for 7 months, or it was really weird. I was in a connection for 7 months and then I wouldn't communicate with them for 7 weeks. And it was just really interesting how that kind of all plays out. Anyway, 7s. Clarify the Page of Cups. clarify the Page of Cups. I don't think your person is actually like, it's interesting because I feel like the emotional aspect for this person is actually maybe a little bit more difficult for them, but being willing to provide it is probably a pretty big deal to them. Yeah. Clarify the Hierophant, please. This guy. 5 of Wands. And then we have the Knight of Cups, as well as the 2 of Cups and the Ace of Cups. Okay. Okay. They really, I feel like if they haven't addressed this to you yet, how they view this connection is that it's very emotionally fulfilling and that it's balanced. And they also want to bring in, it's bringing out this part of them that wants them to bring in emotion into this connection. And one thing that I feel like they see is this sort of building is sort of this, they're seeing that this has the potential to be really fruitful. So they're seeing it as something that can build into something bigger. They do see this as, they feel like, it's sort of like they feel, okay. All right, group 3. I got this hit that it feels like they won the jackpot, kind of. This person being really kind of picky about people is interesting because they, as picky as they are about people, they also have the fact that they've kind of chosen you or feel this way about you is something that, or I'm sorry, well, I mean, yeah, also it's a space for you to celebrate as well. I mean, I feel like that's really kind of cool. But they feel very fortunate to have been chosen by you as well. So I think they have sort of a feeling that it's almost as how you view them, they view you. There's a lot of duality within that. They do feel that this is something. They do have this sense of, I don't want to say ownership here. I don't know how to say, I feel like, okay, I talked about this a little bit in group 1, how there are like healthy levels of possessiveness and obsession where it doesn't, not possessiveness, I don't want to say that, healthy levels of obsession where, and I kind of used it as being like, oh, I'm obsessed with this, right? And so, and you're using that, the good, you have the intention behind that of, this is something that you love and that you know, put your energy into often. Okay, so having that sort of level of healthy obsession is one thing, but so I do feel like there is this sense of kind of, it isn't necessarily greed, but it's, I wouldn't even say it's teetering on that. Your person's energy is pretty uplifting, so it's more so that it's like, what is that? I just heard, I am him and he is mine and we are all together. Was the Beatles. But yeah, kind of like that, is that they feel like this is my person is more so the vibe. And I will say that this is something that there's sort of been some groundwork laid here. There's been a process of sort of getting into this moment, it feels like. And this is something that they didn't come to just on a whim, okay? This isn't somebody who would be rushing into things or rushed into this connection. In fact, I would say that it was probably a slow process, required quite a bit of patience to get into this moment with this person. And they are looking at, they're sort of looking at it as, okay, we've laid the groundwork and now they've been able to kind of zoom out and look at this connection. And there is this sense of, this is so weird, y'all. I don't know if this resonates in this. Maybe it could be for a few group of people, but there is sort of this thing that of like fighting themselves from being more physical with you is sort of a hit. I don't know if that resonates in for anybody, but there was sort of that, them kind of being in this space of having to hold themselves back from physical intimacy because of their level of attraction for you and how they feel about you and the emotion they wish to provide you, which is good. Being able to have self-control is a pretty good thing. And ultimately, they do see you as their counterpart. They see you as somebody that they can build with. They see you as somebody who is mutually giving into this connection. With this Two of Cups energy, this is an equal give and take here. So if you are in a connection in which this is not the case and that you are not experiencing this, then this is definitely not the reading for you, because this would be a connection in which they feel kind of the same way that you feel. Or at least this is how they feel about you. I can't say that that's how you feel about them, I guess. We shouldn't say that, because this is really about how they feel. Let's find out how they feel about. I feel like that is kind of how they feel about you, but we'll get into more detail. How does group 3's person feel about them, please? How does group 3's person feel about them? Oh. Have we gone quiet, group 3? Have we been in a little bit of contemplation? Interesting. I feel like you maybe have also been fighting a certain urge, but you've been in sort of quiet mode. 5 of Swords and 8 of Wands. Bottom of the deck, you have Wheel of Fortune. So you're kind of moving into a new cycle. It's interesting. Something about this connection could have put you into isolation. So they see you kind of transforming in some way. They see you, it's interesting, like they also see you fighting the urge. They also see you willing to fight for this. They also see you having laid down the groundwork on sort of your role in this connection. And there's some sense of seeing this sort of some kind of rapid moving thing. We'll get into what's going on here with this 8 of Wands, but first let's clarify the Hermit. Clarify the Hermit. I got this little guy I wanted to pop out. Oh, that's interesting. The Hermit and the Hierophant. Aren't y'all cute? Oh, okay, sorry. Clarifying the 7 of Wands, or 5 of Wands, excuse me, is the 7 of Cups. So in one element, your person might see that you are someone who could have options. And that this 5 of Wands actually would be you sort of fighting off options. And in some sense, they might see you having being in the space of sort of weighing your options. What is the 3 of... Clarify the 3 of Wands. 5 of Coins. Clarify the 5 of Swords. The Moon. I love that the moon is David Bowie. The end. Okay. Clarify this 8 of Wands, please. You have the 6 of Coins. The bottom of the deck, you have the Chariot. Okay. I'm going to move this Chariot sort of sideways here, group 3. It's interesting, as though it's like you may have had a little disconnect or went quiet in this connection, and they've been sort of holding faith. And so from their perspective, how they see you is somebody who is, again, like weighing your options. And yet they also see you kind of moving into this new... Okay. For us, I just want to say this as like a little side note for a small collective of you who tapped into this. It could be this is giving me oh, I just accidentally opened up to the 10 of Cups. I feel like that's worth... Okay, anyway, for a very small collective view, this is sort of a one-sided perspective where how this person sees you is actually not how you see the connection, and they're sort of delusional. There's like one element of that. Just because some of these other cards are coming out, that's not for everyone. That's just like that's one small hit, that there may be somebody out there that is sort of like, has somebody kind of maybe like in their energy quite often that is a little bit obsessive with them, and not so much in a healthy way. So there is one element of that. Okay, so you'll know if you are feeling kind of the same feelings for this person, or have that sort of reciprocity with this person, then that message was not for you. But there is one small hit of that there may be people who have that experience. Okay. Okay, and how they see you. They do see you sort of laying the groundwork and building into something, kind of walking, moving out of a space of kind of not holding yourself back in some capacity, in terms of being able to balance into a sense of stability, which would be into this, more giving, being able to give a little bit more to self and to others, and kind of moving into the space. So they do see you kind of rapidly transitioning. There's a big thing on that. They do see that this is something that, it's interesting because it's almost as though they see you as kind of going into this space and doing some internal work that may be related into having a little bit of I don't want to say it's like a big fight response, or a huge fight response, but maybe having a little bit harsher ways of communicating when you're frustrated or upset or something along those lines, and going in and doing sort of this internalized work to work on this. They do see you sort of maybe wanting to move a little bit quicker than they do, and seeing this connection as very fulfilling, and seeing this as sort of your wish fulfillment as well. So there is this sense of them seeing you kind of working on this part of yourself, of slowing down and having a little bit more patience, and maybe allowing them to kind of slow the process a little bit, so that we have a better outcome, is kind of the vibe here. All right, let's get you into messages from your person. So some of the messages that come out sometimes seem so disconnected from the reading with this Lover Oracle deck. It's like, sometimes I wonder, like, are there cards in here that I might get, you know what, actually, group 3, I just got this hit that I'll just do this Oracle deck. So if I'm already feeling like this Oracle deck isn't going to provide the messages that we need to hear, then why am I pulling it out? Duh. Here we go, the Independent. Yeah. I am aware of my inner dialogue and direct it by positive imagery, the Forgiver. I forgive myself and others with compassion for our human frailties. So if there has been a little bit of a hiccup within this connection, this person is very forgiving, really understanding person realistically. And I think it is that sort of independent thinking, and they maybe have a way of tapping into sort of not a better understanding, but a more an awareness of sort of all of, maybe they have been themselves in sort of darker spaces, or been in, made mistakes and sort of worked through them themselves, and therefore couldn't hold it against anybody else that's actually doing the work. And again, they see you as doing the work. So we have the Worker. I enjoy getting in touch with who I am as an individual. Yeah, they really see you kind of going through this process, and really proud of you for it, realistically. Okay, we have the Initiator, the Transformer, and the Benefactor. And then we also, I just want to bring this out because we have the Manifester. So they do see you as somebody who is, let's go here to the initiator. As I overcome resistance and do what must be done now. They do see you sort of being able to take on sort of the tougher elements of life and being able to grab the bull by the horn and do what needs to be done in order to work on the things that you need to work on. They do see you in this transformative energy. They see, I transform myself as a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly. The benefactor is here as well. I enjoy life now as I take steps to realize my new tomorrow. They also don't see you in this space of sort of wallowing in anything and like wallowing in self-pity or feeling bad about yourself or feeling sorry for yourself. You're sort of in the space of doing the work, knowing you need to do the work. And it might even be something that doesn't always feel great, but it doesn't get you down. And that's something they actually admire about you. And they also see you as a manifester. I am manifesting what I see in my mind's eye. So they're capable of being able to see the things that you are doing with your life that are sort of culminating or transforming into a new beginning for you with this new cycles that were on the second half of the read, where you were in that sort of space of going through and creating change that is creating new cycles. And I really do get the sense, group 3, that your person is so proud of you. They do have this sort of, I don't know, just this way of looking at things where they're very proud. Some kind of hit that I just had is that I may have inadvertently at some point flipped, and it's like you see all this in that person and are proud of them. So I just want to just state that really quick, because it is very possible that this is, and again, it is so much so, group 3, that there's a lot of mirroring within this connection. So it's easy to get sort of who's who here. And so sometimes I think it's, I mean, use your own discernment, obviously, if you feel like you tapped into your own energy, but there's a lot of duality within this connection. So sometimes it may seem like we're talking about you or we're talking about your person, but it's your person's perspective of you and vice versa. So just had to get that out there. But anyway, they do seem to be really proud of this, what you're experiencing, and whatever you're doing is really kind of almost making them want this more and to be in this space with you more. So that's an amazing thing. So, all right, group 3. If this resonated with you, please like and subscribe to my channel. Leave me a comment down below. Any amount of support that you provide me helps me, my family. I'm trying to get into a space where this is a secondary income. So any subscribing, liking, those two things in particular, as well as commenting, those things really help my channel. So any small amount of support that you can provide me has a major impact. Thank you so much for being here, group 3. Enjoy the rest of your day.